Nate Diaz, Tony Ferguson, Khamzat Chimaev, Kevin Holland, and I'm making a video on how the UFC planned this from the start. And if not from the start, the UFC has been planning all of this chaos. The press conference getting canceled, Khamzat Chimaev missing weight, everything, all the new matchups, all the fighters agreeing to short notice bouts with guys that missed weight. That all of this, the press conference, again, big brawl, all of this has been planned, if not from the start, for the last 3 weeks. Ever since Kevin Holland and Daniel Rodriguez signed to fight each other, that is the most likely chance that this is when this was all planned. And this is why. Khamzat Chimaev and Nate Diaz were booked a few months ago. First of all, Khamzat Chimaev, how come you can't make weight? You had months to make weight. This was the biggest opportunity of his life. The first main event on a pay-per-view against Nate Diaz. Top 3 biggest stars in the UFC right now. Maybe the second biggest star in the UFC right now. And he can't make weight and he misses weight. And guys, people miss weight by a pound. 2 pounds is pretty bad. But 8 pounds? Khamzat Chimaev, this guy who's cut out to be maybe a future champ, who's a beast, who's, obviously giving the sport his all, he misses weight by 8 pounds. He's seen the night before the weigh-in eating and drinking at a restaurant. Dana White comes out and says he was told to stop making weight by a doctor. Bullshit. If he was told to stop making weight by a doctor, they wouldn't fucking let him fight. Also, they're not fining Khamzat Chimaev. Why do you think they're not fining Khamzat Chimaev for missing weight? Because it's all bullshit. Khamzat Chimaev has been booked to fight Kevin Holland for the past few weeks. Nate Diaz and Tony Ferguson have known they were fighting each other for the past 3 weeks. No wonder Tony's had a big fat smirk on his face embedded because he knows he's not going up against the leech. Tony Ferguson was seen after the Brawl backstage and he said nothing happened. Tony Ferguson's a loose cannon, right? He's the kind of guy who will fuck up and say something when he's not supposed to. I truly believe that Dana White and the UFC brass got Khamzat Chimaev, Nate Diaz, Tony Ferguson, Kevin Holland, even D-Rod, poor Li Jingliang. I think he was left out on this. The one guy who really doesn't speak English, right? But I really think that the UFC all contacted these guys and laid out the perfect plan. And this is how it went. As soon as Khamzat Chimaev and Nate Diaz signed to fight, the UFC recognized that the fans were unhappy. They just booked an anticlimactic fight, a fight that no one really believed that it was going to be competitive. I mean, you had Nate Diaz that was basically going to his slaughter against Khamzat Chimaev. I thought it was anticlimactic. I wasn't excited to watch the fight. I would have watched it because it's Khamzat and Nate Diaz, but it's not exciting. We know what's going to happen. Khamzat Chimaev is going to kill this guy. He's going to dominate him. You have the biggest, most powerful, tenacious wrestler at 170 who's not even in his prime, who's coming up on his prime, hungry, against Nate Diaz, washed up, 37, tofu fed, small, skinny fat for welterweight, fighting Khamzat. It made no sense. What happened 3-4 weeks out of the fight? Kevin Holland, Daniel Rodriguez booked. Wow. Kevin Holland, loud, outspoken, big mouth. That's his nickname, right? Daniel Rodriguez. Oh, well, that's okay, but it's a catch weight, 180 pounds. Interesting. Khamzat Chimaev just missed weight by 8 pounds, and what do you know? 2 pounds less than the catch weight that Kevin Holland and Daniel Rodriguez signed to fight. They signed to fight at 180. Khamzat misses by 2 pounds. He's 1.5 pounds under 180. So convenient. And now let's look at the brawl. This is the fucking brawl, guys. This is the brawl. Wow. Look at wow. Look at who's holding Khamzat back. Khamzat's alone. What happened to the other 50 guys? 100 guys. Dana White said there were 100 guys back there. We have to stop it for everyone's safety. Really? Khamzat Chimaev's completely alone. There's no one around him. Look, you could see in the background, not a single person. He's being held back by an old man. Khamzat, this beast, this monster. If he was really fucking angry, I guarantee you he'd be shoving that old guy 100 yards away. And what happened to this idea that the staff couldn't contain it? Dana White came out and said the staff can't contain it. It was really bad, really stupid. The staff couldn't contain it. Really? Seems like it's being contained pretty well to me. Look at that. Kevin Holland being held back by one guy. Who's this guy? This guy right here? That guy? That's the guy who's second in charge to hold Kevin Holland. So if Kevin Holland gets past this guy, it's this guy's job to hold him back? Dude, this is bullshit. These guys weren't actually trying to fight each other. Kevin Holland's not a good actor. What happened to the other 50, 60 guys? If there were 50, 60, 70 other guys brawling in here, I guarantee you we would see a few of them. These are all staff members. They all have badges and little earpieces, the camera here. And how come there wasn't an embedded? Interesting. No embedded. You wonder why? Because on embedded, they follow around the teams. The teams weren't in here. There was no brawl. There was no 100-man brawl backstage. It didn't exist. It did not exist. Khamzat Chimaev and Kevin Holland were by themselves. That explains why Nate Diaz, after when the press conference was canceled, came out and said, "Yo, what's up? What's up?" Tony Ferguson went out there in good spirits saying, "Next question." They were all in good spirits backstage. This right there, that's called work. That's called Kevin Holland, here's an extra 10K. Khamzat Chimaev, extra 10K. Just put on an act. I mean, Kevin Holland started calling out Khamzat Chimaev earlier this week. Where'd that come from? Why would he sign to a catchweight fight? Why would he sign to a catchweight fight a month out? If you're a month out from a fight, you don't sign to fight catchweight. You make fucking weight like a normal person. Jesus, I mean, this is not a real fight. This is not a real brawl. There's no real tenacity. Furthermore, this whole idea that there was 50 of Khamzat's guys and 50 of Nate Diaz's team going at it is complete bullshit. There is not a single person besides Khamzat and Kevin Holland in this little debacle that the UFC posted. There's not a single person that isn't a UFC staff member. And then Nate Diaz walks in. This is even more ridiculous. Nate Diaz walks in, and Nate Diaz is moping around, and first of all, Nate Diaz is moping around when he joins. Okay, so Nate Diaz comes on screen, and the UFC starts playing Khamzat Chimaev audio from a completely different clip, from a completely different moment, and they're just playing that over the Diaz clip to make it seem like Khamzat was yelling at Diaz in that moment. And Nate Diaz throws a water bottle. And there's this guy that also, when he throws the water bottle, watch how one guy reacts. He just goes he freezes up for 5-10 seconds. It was weird. It was almost as if it was only Nate Diaz's team in that building at the time. And they said, Nate Diaz, 10K, just throw a fucking water bottle. And he did it. This is not, look, this doesn't look like a brawl. It's just, they're not walking towards anyone. They're just walking into the building. They're chilling. Nate Diaz is chilling. No one's holding them back. Khamzat Chimaev, that's a different clip from a different time. This guy freezes. Look at him. He's going to stay frozen. He's still frozen. They could have had the press conference. They did this on purpose. They came out and said, press conference was canceled. There was a wild brawl. Khamzat Chimaev misses weight, but not fined. This was all just to sell pay-per-views, to generate hype. All the fans were pissed. And then Friday, everyone's wondering, why is Khamzat going to coming off? Khamzat misses weight on the biggest day of his entire life when he has 2 months' notice. Oh, and just conveniently, Kevin Holland and him decide to fight when Kevin Holland and Daniel Rodriguez weighed in just fine. They could have fought each other just fine. And also, Tony Ferguson and Nate Diaz just agree to it. Those guys have known they were going to fight each other for a while. This is what the UFC did. They knew that the fans weren't going to like it. They knew people were saying this is a shitty card. And then they called up Khamzat 3 weeks ago, called up Kevin Holland, said, you guys want to fight? Okay, this is our plan. Boom. Called up Nate Diaz. They said, hey, Tony, we got him on the card. Do you want to fight him? We're not going to tell anyone. Give you a couple 100,000. Shut your mouth. Couple 100K. That's why Nate Diaz leading up to this fight, he says, I didn't even train for Khamzat. Nate Diaz is a guy who speaks his mind. If he was paid, like, I could see Nate Diaz shutting up a little bit for good money, but let's be honest. I mean, the signs were there all week. This was completely fake. This was a work. The brawl was bullshit. There wasn't 100 guys backstage brawling. It was literally just Kevin Holland and Khamzat Chimaev, who at the time walked into that backstage knowing damn well they weren't going to go out for a press conference, knowing damn well that they were going to fight each other the next day, knowing damn well that they were paid to do that. And the UFC, genius. The UFC is genius. Straight up. The UFC is genius. And this is one of the most brilliant marketing schemes that I've ever seen in my entire life unfold. The fights are real, but this is all genius. And they wanted to see if something like this could work. They pulled it off. No press conference for that. That was the brawl. Conor McGregor and Khabib have a press conference, but, you know, Conor can throw a fucking a chair through a bus window, a dolly through a bus window, and they'll have a press conference. And I'm sure there are little scuffles like that all the time at press conferences. All the time. People get a little physical. People loudmouth each other backstage. That was the scuffle? Bullshit. They didn't come out. There was no footage. Isn't that crazy? No teams taking any videos. No people backstage with media passes taking any videos. It was almost as if the UFC said, no media members backstage today. That's what they said. They said no media members backstage. And they took the professional footage themselves. And they knew it was all bullshit. So anyway, guys, like the video, comment, and subscribe. Lucas Tracy MMA, the best MMA videos on YouTube. Until next time.